I think it's disgusting how Cody's been dragging Meri along for years. And I think it's equally as disgusting that Robyn's like, stay with the family, stay with the family. Let that girl go.
Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about Season 18, Episode 14 of Sister Wives. I had to put in that clip of Christine, that part where she was sort of mimicking Robyn and she was like, you know, doing a Robyn voice. I had to put it in there because sometimes when I'm making these videos, I will do that. I will try to like mimic Robyn and be like, you should stay, Meri, stay. And I'm like, oh my goodness, everyone is going to listen to this and think I'm crazy. But then Christine did it there and it made me feel like it was acceptable. Like it's okay that I'm trying to do a weird voice for Robyn. But yes, I think Christine's right. Quit dragging Meri around. And we finally get to see the end of that in this episode. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I want to do a bit of housekeeping before I jump into this episode and talking about it. One, I mentioned a few weeks ago that I was going to do some videos about the Sister Wives book and kind of do a reread and look back at who they were in the beginning. I'm still going to do that. I just don't think I'm going to get started until in December. I thought about actually doing it after the tell-alls end. I'm still going to do it though. So if you want to reread or just listen to commentary about the book, still going to happen. And number two is that I'm going to be putting together a Christmas video. I did mention this in my video about McKelty as well. I'm going to put together a Christmas video, and what I'm looking for is what you guys think Santa should bring Cody, the wives, and even anyone else on the show, as long as it's not the minor children. I think we should stick with the adults. What should Santa bring the members of the Brown family? If you have any ideas, leave it in the comments. I just think it would be fun to see a video of all the things we think they need. And I know Santa should bring a few people in the family some coal. I got it. I'm with you. But let's just say Santa was still going to give them some gifts. What do you guys think they should be? Okay, so now let's talk about the episode. The show starts out in Utah with Meri, and she says that it's October. And I appreciate that, and I wish all TLC shows started out with telling us the month and the year. But Meri isn't doing it to help us. She's doing it because she's going to reference the fact that it was last April where Cody told her that he no longer wanted to be in a marriage with her. So it's been several months since that time, and she's had time to think about their relationship. She says there's been a lot of highs and lows. There were times he implied he wanted to work on things, and then this last anniversary, he just said no, he's not going to do it at all. He's not going to be married to her anymore. It's done. He's not going to do that with her again. So she is talking about how things have changed in their relationship. And she also talks about how she feels like she was emotionally abandoned. And I want to put in a clip here of her talking about it because she adds something at the end that I think is really important.
I really feel like I was emotionally abandoned by him well before the catfishing.
First of all, I believe her. I think the whole catfishing thing would have never happened if Cody was actually being the husband that he should have been to her. I don't think she would have done that. She was abandoned. She was not treated fairly. She didn't have small children, so he wasn't over there giving her a lot of attention. I don't think the catfishing thing would have happened if Meri had been treated better. I also think it's important for her to say that it was going on before then, so it's not something where it was a punishment. Well, Meri, Cody would have been a good husband to you had you not went and talked to someone online. Meri, this is a consequence of your actions. No, it was happening beforehand. I feel like the catfishing was a consequence of Cody being a negligent husband. When it came to what Meri needed, he wasn't there for her. So I think it was important that she added that little bit at the end. There is a part of me that wonders if she realizes that the marriage began to break down as Robyn came into the family and was there more and more and taking more of Cody's time. I will say that even if she knows that happened, I don't think she will ever acknowledge it because I think she was so close to Robyn and liked her so much, and Meri was a part of her coming into the family. I don't think Meri would ever acknowledge that. I would be surprised to hear Meri, point out that things changed when Robyn came into the picture and that was a part of her marriage not working. I don't think she'd ever say it, but I wonder if somewhere in her head she realizes it. There is a clip of Janelle talking about Meri and Cody, and she questions if this situation is actually healthy for Meri anymore. So she's there. And Christine and Janelle have always acknowledged that Meri has been treated very poorly by Cody. Like, they've always said that. So she mentions it here. And then Meri says in the last month, she just heard Cody say that he wasn't married to her. And I was doing some math there. She's saying October. I believe September, October was when that season started where Christine was leaving. And even though it was focused a lot on Christine, there was parts of it focused on Meri as well. So it seems like Meri finally watched some of those episodes and she got to see what we were all seeing. She got to see why everyone was saying that she should leave Cody. And TLC actually puts in the clip. You know, they imply that this is the clip that Meri saw. So I'm going to put it in here so that we can all be reminded of how Cody talked about Meri.
I don't really consider myself married to Meri. If she wanted to move on and marry another, she wouldn't get an argument with me.
Meri said what Cody said was vulgar and disgusting. And that clip of Christine that I put at the beginning of this video, that is actually from this part of the show. Christine is talking about, you know, Cody and Robyn and how Meri has been dragged along. So everyone knows that Meri isn't being treated fair. It's just, I think it's BS that Robyn has never sat down as a friend to her and said, you know what, you need to go. Like, I think you should go because I care about you. There was a nice way to have that conversation. There's a nice, compassionate way to tell someone that something isn't working out well for them. She could have done that. It's good that people are calling Robyn out for not being better to Meri. As Meri is talking during one of the confessionals, she says that she needs to have a conversation with Robyn because Robyn is actually the only person that is going to care that she would leave. And she also questions at this point if there's any reason at all for her to stay in Flagstaff. After this, the show switches over to Christine and Janelle. They are still in Utah visiting Christine's brothers. They, along with Christine's family, go out on a hike. I really felt like there was a lot of fluff content here. I mean, at one point, Christine actually explains during a confessional how she's divorced from Cody and that Janelle is still with Cody and that they're sister wives. Like, there's no reason at this point in the show to explain that. We all know. Like, we're past that. I feel like they were trying to just fill up some of the time in the show. It's just a lot of fluff stuff. But it does get to a point where they talk a little bit about how Janelle went back to college and graduated when she was 33 and how, you know, Cody was only seeing her like every third night. So she was kind of doing it on her own. And then they also talk about the church and how people that were in their faith were encouraged to prep for disasters and keep a food stockpile. And then this sort of leads its way over to talking about the kids. And they talk about how there is a divide between Robyn's kids and then all the other Brown children. There seems to just be this division between them. And Janelle says that her sons really miss Dayton. And she feels like the Brown kids that are on the other side, you know, not Robyn's kids, those kids are really missing Robyn's kids. And she thinks it's important that they do get together for some sort of reunion with the children in the family. And I just want to add that I think Aurora and Brianna need to socialize with the other kids in the family. And that is all I'm going to say about that. After this, the show goes back over to Meri, Robyn, and Cody, and they are all together out on Coyote Pass. They say they're going there to talk about the property. But before we get to that part, I want to put in a clip of Robyn talking about Coyote Pass. I just thought this was really funny.
Every time I'm out here on the property, it makes me ache to just get out here.
You know, that may very well have been the worst acting I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, we always talk about Robyn not really crying, but that was awful. That did not look like there was any sincerity to it at all. So I just had to throw it in. I couldn't leave that part of the show out. But they're out there and they're at Coyote Pass, and we find out that Meri hasn't been involved in anything to do with this property in a long time. So much that Meri doesn't actually know what the plan is with the portion of the land that Christine, you know, gave back to them when they did an exchange. So Christine kept the house. She gave up her portion of the land. Literally, Meri has no idea what the plan is for that new lot that is available to them. So this is where things start to get messy. There were supposed to be 5 lots, one for each wife, and then a family/Cody lot. Christine left, and now Cody says this is going to be his lot. So now there's a family lot, Cody's lot, Robyn, Janelle, and Meri's. So that makes up for all 5 of them. And I'm going to put a photo up here. I'm going to keep a photo up while we're talking about this so you can see it. This is what it looked like, the original plan. And you can see that Meri is getting a smaller 2-acre lot. And this was discussed on the show back when they got the property and were, dividing things up. This was a whole issue, but it had worked out well enough. But now there is another lot, and it would only make sense that if Janelle has 4 acres and Robyn has 4 acres, that this new lot would go to Meri, and Meri would have 4 acres of her own as well. And Meri points this out to Coyote. You're going to end up with a total of 8 acres with Robyn. Janelle will have 4, and then I will have 2. And Coyote responds with some Coyote math. He basically tells her how the property is divided up. And I'm going to put a clip in here so you can see it.
It's 2-acre lots.
Yeah.
2-acre lots.
Yeah, so
and then 4-acre lots.
Yep, Coyote. Yep. Meri knew that. That's what she said. 2 acres plus 2 acres plus 4 acres. That equals 8 acres. And that's what you and Robyn are going to have. Meri literally just mathed that out for you. And you have to do it again. He is so annoying, you guys. Meri realizes, though, in this moment, you can kind of see she's not happy. Even though she's not expressing it, I think if you kind of were watching her, she's not happy. This isn't fair. And she says during a confessional, she's still a part of the family, and she contributed financially, so she deserves more of the property. It shouldn't be up to Coyote just to allocate the land according to who his favorite wife is or what he wants. And I 100% agree with her. It shouldn't be left up to Coyote at this point. It's clear it's not going to work out well for anyone but him and Robyn. And I have a feeling you guys all agree with that too. Like, this situation is not fair. So Meri just flat out looks at them at this table out on Coyote Pass and says that it's weird that you guys get 8, Janelle gets 4, and I get 2. Then they cut over from this moment to a confessional with Janelle. And Janelle says it's not fair as well. And we finally get to hear them say what we have all been thinking. Listen to what Janelle says here.
I think it's time that we have a real appraisal and decide what the value is and what's fair for all 4 of us.
After they show Janelle, it goes back to Coyote Pass, and we see Meri and Coyote sitting there, and Coyote responds to Meri saying it feels weird. And Coyote just pretty much justifies everything. He says during a confessional that Meri doesn't like to share resources. She only has 1 kid. He wants the pond for the family. He has 18 kids to think about. And all I could think about was that Coyote Brown needed to stop talking. It was not helping him out at all. Meri had 1 kid because she could only have 1 kid. Meri wanted more children. Meri is a part of that family and needed to be treated fairly. Just because she wasn't the favorite anymore, or maybe the favorite ever, doesn't mean she wasn't a part of it and didn't contribute to it. And she deserves some of that property. Coyote just needed to stop. It wasn't making him look like the good guy. He wasn't explaining anything that made any sense to me. And if you guys feel differently, feel free to let me know in the comments. But Coyote just did a great job of making himself look like the bad guy in this episode. He just keeps layering on more and more to it. So it goes from that confessional where Coyote is explaining away his bad behavior and not being fair to the wives, back over to Coyote Pass, where we see Robyn and Coyote and Meri. And then Robyn decides to make a joke about their relationship.
You never know if Coyote and I are going to stay together.
I mean, you never know what's going to happen.
So Robyn makes this joke. It does not go over well with Coyote. Meri is able to find some humor in it. And Meri makes a point of saying, like, you have no idea what could happen in your marriage. You can be in that marriage for 20 years and then things go wrong. So Meri is actually laughing about it. I think Meri has a good sense of humor about things. Coyote does not think this is as funny. But during this part of the show, we get to hear a little bit more from Robyn. And she says during a confessional, she does not like how she is always put into things with Coyote. She says that she deserves some of that land as well, and it's not Coyote's land. So, Meri had been saying Coyote and Robyn are going to have 8 acres. Robyn's like, no, Coyote will have 4, and I'm going to have 4. She wants to be separate from him. And her joke was that she doesn't know what's going to happen in the marriage. Like, it looks great now, but who knows? Robyn goes further during the confessional and says that she is tired of people assuming that her and Coyote think and feel the same way all of the time. She is just tired of being grouped with him. And you know what? Here's the thing. If she is telling the truth and she doesn't always agree with Cody, unfortunately, because of the division in the family, I don't think anyone's going to see that. It's like she's joined Team Cody, and that's where she is now. The issue goes even further, though, because many of us think that she is a mastermind, sometimes behind the things that he does, including some of those COVID rules. I think those worked out in her favor, and she was really encouraging of those if she didn't actually come up with some of them on her own. So that's the thing. The division in this family, no one's going to see that. Robyn's just going to have to accept that everyone sees her and Cody as a couple, and that's how things were, ended up being divided for them. Back at Coyote Pass, Meri just ends up directly asking, if there is another lot and it's 2 acres and I have 2 acres, is that mine? Robyn and Janelle each have 4. This would make things equal. But Cody says no. That's not what he's thinking. I will tell you guys, I was a bit surprised by how direct he was with his no. Cody sometimes tries to manipulate things or not directly answer the question. He didn't do that here. It was just flat out like, nah, not happening. And you could see it was a moment for Meri where she realized, not only have I not had a good marriage, I'm not going to ever be treated fairly at all, even when I should have been. Even on this property where we all contributed financially, I'm not going to be treated well. And I think it was like a moment for her. You know what I mean? I'm going to put in a clip here of Meri talking about it during a confessional. She doesn't say much at first, but watch her face. Watch it here.
Oh, I understand what he's saying.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot to that clip, but the grin on her face and that sound she made, it tells us what we need to know. She realizes that she's not going to be treated fairly, and you can tell she is done. Meri points out at this point there is always an excuse to treat her like less. First it was less kids, now it's because, they don't really have a marriage. And she says she isn't less and that she is important. And I'm glad she is realizing that. I'm glad she's realizing she is getting less than everyone else. And I hope, we see what happens here in this episode, but I'm just glad Meri is standing up for herself. Meri, when she's sitting there with them, sort of has this smirk on her face, and you can tell she's really on the edge. There's some anger there that's, boiling under the skin. She is holding it together, but I think she really wants to flip out, and I completely understand it, to be honest with you. I probably would have done it. And she looks over at them and says, is this a good time for me to drop a bomb? And then, of course, when she says it's time to drop a bomb, the show switches over to Utah, where Janelle and Christine are still visiting family. They're having a barbecue and throwing a Frisbee around. And there ends up being a funny part where Christine says that she was the most competitive of the wives, and that's why she left first. She wanted to be the winner. And I'm like, okay, that was kind of funny. I liked that. I think Christine's personality just shines more and more as she is happier. So I just enjoy when she's on there. Now, earlier in this episode, Christine had just briefly mentioned that her brothers don't know a lot about the divorce. They haven't asked her any questions. And so when they sit down to eat, they finally start talking to her. And this conversation, I don't think there's anything in it that's new to us viewers, but it does lead to them talking about finances, the houses, and the property. And we find out that Cody's name is tied to every piece of property. Christine adds that when she had that property out on Coyote Pass, it wasn't just her and Cody that were listed on it. It was Robyn as well. And I'm assuming that's because Robyn is Cody's legal wife. But I think the point is just that everything is tangled up. Like, everything is tangled up, and Janelle's not going to leave easily. It has to be worked out when it comes to her assets. Janelle, though, makes a point. She says that's not the only issue. It is also her faith. She got married to Cody, and that was a spiritual thing, and she hasn't really figured out what it will look like for her to leave. So she needs to deal with the assets and then the spiritual component, but everything else is already done. For all intents and purposes, the marriage is over. She's just not in a hurry to do the other stuff yet. After this, it goes back over to Meri, and she confirms what most of us thought. She did not intend to have this conversation with Robyn and Cody, but I think in her anger, because of Cody's response about the property, she is ready to have the conversation about their relationship. Meri looks at them and says she was at the bed and breakfast and felt like it needed her. She tells them that the B&B, combined with everything that has happened with Cody, it's just got her to a place where she's decided she won't be staying in Flagstaff. And in a rare moment of selflessness, Robyn responds by saying this.
I can't fight it because it's not fair to Meri.
Robyn says that she really wants to yell and scream. And you guys, I actually thought there were real tears. But then Meri says during a confessional that everyone else's emotions are irrelevant. She needs to do this for herself. She doesn't care if Cody jumps for joy or Robyn cries. This is about doing what's best for her. So she tells Cody that she is leaving Flagstaff. And honestly, you guys, he doesn't seem to care at all, which isn't really surprising. He doesn't actually say anything. He looks at her and says, well, do you still want to go look at the lot? I'm like, really? That's all you got to, that's it? That's all you could think to say? I just felt like this part of the show was really frustrating for me. I felt like Cody started playing games at this point because he starts manipulating things, and he starts manipulating like what is being said. He says he doesn't want to be blamed for the things that he has said and done. Because Meri's saying to him, like, you said to me our marriage was over. Like, this is kind of like my response to that. And he's saying he doesn't want to be blamed for saying that. You're not being blamed, Cody. There's a consequence. Look the word up in the dictionary. Get acquainted with it. There's a consequence for what you say and what you do. Your wife is leaving you because you have told her that you don't want to be married to her anymore. This is a consequence. He needs to learn about that word and understand it more. He doesn't seem to. And I just felt like he got very manipulative here. And you can tell that Meri was fed up, but she also wasn't going to play into it too much. Now, there is a part of this where there's a confessional and Cody says he wants Robyn to stop trying to advocate for Meri and his marriage. And I think he's really fed up with it. I think we're all fed up with it. It's something I've talked about on here. I've read your guys' comments. Robyn needs to stop. Robyn needs to stop pushing them to be together, stop encouraging Meri to stay. She needs to get out of it, and Cody is done with it as well, and so is Meri. I think in some ways, Robyn is the one having the hardest time accepting that this marriage is actually over. And of course, Robyn is crying. And I have to be honest with you guys, I think it was real. I think there were real tears. She is crying enough that she has to get up and walk away. And I know we give Robyn a hard time because she frequently deserves it. Again, there are consequences for your actions. But I felt a little bit bad for her here. You know, I think it was genuine sadness. I really just wish that Robyn could understand that she did play a role in this. And just saying like, oh, Meri, stick around. And oh, Cody, you need to spend more time with her. But then wanting to monopolize all of his time, and just her actions and her words and her tears don't align. And that's where I think we all have a hard time with Robyn, right? It gets annoying. But I do think there was some real sadness in this part of the show. I think she realized in this moment it was sort of over. It was really just going to be her and Cody. Now, during this episode, Meri has accused Cody of not being honest publicly. She says that he'll say things in private, but then he's basically telling her he doesn't want to go public with that stuff. And he's sort of forcing her to be the one to leave instead of doing it himself. Like, I think he's doing it intentionally because he doesn't want to look like the bad guy. So he just drags her along instead. So now he's pushed Meri into being the one who says she's going to leave. And he looks at her and says, I'm glad that we are going to be friends at the departure. Yeah, I can't with Cody. I can't. He's such a jerk sometimes. But then Robyn looks over at Meri and says, are you even accepting of that? You know, I really wanted at that moment when Robyn asked her if she would accept friendship with Cody, I desperately wanted Meri to say, no, I think you're boring and you're both selfish and I don't want to be your friend. I knew she wouldn't, but I would have liked if she did, and then walked away. But Meri laughs and says, what am I supposed to do, Robyn? I'm not going to force someone to be with me. I'm not going to force someone to act how they don't want to act. And then Cody, it's like he doubled down on being a jerk in this episode. This is how Cody responds to that.
Oh, the act is easy. The act is easy.
The act is obvious.
Yeah, he is absolutely that rude. He is that rude. So she's saying, I'm not going to force someone to act like they love me. And he's like, acting is easy. Come on, are you kidding me? He had to know that that was completely unnecessary to say. But he doesn't stop there, you guys. He corrects himself. It's like his rudeness just knows no limits. He says, okay, it wasn't an act. It was a performance. It was performance. He did it out of duty. He just made himself look like just a terrible person. He could have left that conversation there. When Meri said, I don't want to force him to do something he doesn't want to do, his response could have been, we shouldn't do that to each other anymore. We should both be happy. Hug, goodbye, walk away. And this could have been the end of the show. But no, Cody has to make a rude comment. He just couldn't stop. And then Meri responds by saying the act was obvious. And during a confessional, Cody says that he can fake the marriage. He can fake it if she wants it. But, Meri says he hasn't even been acting anymore. He's not even pretending that he's in a marriage with her and hasn't been for 8 to 10 years. So while this is all happening, Robyn is sitting there and she is just struggling. She is having a harder time with this than they are. She had left and went for a walk, and now she has came back and she's just continuing to cry. And I have to admit, I actually got a little sad for her. Robyn's actions don't align with her emotions and what she says, but I do think she is grieving what she thought she had. Even if what she had seemed to only benefit her and came off as really selfish. I do think this is someone who thought they had a life a certain way, and now she's having to grieve that it's not going to be like that. It's going to look very different. So I found myself being a little bit sad for Robyn.
I was hanging on with you.
So I think it's possible she was being sincere in that moment when she was talking to Meri, or she solidly brought out her best acting skills yet, because she had me feeling bad for her. But you guys let me know in the comments, what did you think of Robyn's reaction to everything with Meri and Cody? While Robyn's sitting there, she says this isn't what she wanted, and then Cody agrees. And I have to tell you guys, this is just an opinion. I want to know what you guys thought, though. When Robyn says this isn't what I wanted, like she wanted a polygamous family, this isn't how she wanted it to turn out, and Cody agrees, I felt like that was the most emotion we got out of Cody. He says he didn't want this to happen either, and I really feel like the only regret that Cody has about any of this is that it ended up making Robyn unhappy. Like, there's nothing about this part that makes me think Cody is upset. The most reaction was because of Robyn. But let me know if you guys felt the same way about that. And then Cody goes on to continue to say stuff that makes me more annoyed with him. He says that it may have been 7 wasted years for Meri. And then he also says this, and I believe that he practiced this in the mirror and planned this line out before he had it filmed. This is what Cody says.
I hope she finds peace. 'Cause I will.
So the tilt of the head in the dramatic pause is what made me think he planned that out. But that is the end of the show. We're left with Robyn crying out at Coyote Pass, talking about the front porch and her sister wives. We've heard enough of that. I'm over that frickin' front porch. Get the woman some friends to sit on the porch with. But that is it. I felt like we ended where we should have. I think TLC dragged this out maybe a little bit longer than necessary. I felt like the last episode wasn't that great. Felt like we were watching the same thing over and over again. And even today, having Christine explain that she was married to Cody and divorced him and how she knew Janelle, they're just filling in some time for us here. But the next episode, if I understand it correctly, is going to be a tell-all. So we're heading into the tell-alls for this season. If you don't watch another video of mine before Thanksgiving, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. I hope it's full of delicious food and rest and whatever else you want it to be. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click like and subscribe. And also tell me all of your comments. I want to know what you thought about this one and what you've thought about the whole season. And what else you want what else you want Santa to bring the Browns for Christmas. But that is it, you guys. I hope you come back to Happily Ever Reality.
And it wasn't an act, it was performance. It was performance. It was doing what I was supposed to.